We are just one day away from the NFL trade deadline as it is coming down tomorrow, November 4th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And as you've already seen around the league, the closer we get, the more that happens. And this is the same thing every single year. The days leading up to Week 9, usually, some trades come in. And then once Week 9 is over, we are off to the races early on Monday morning. And while you were probably still sleeping, unless you're on the East Coast, you're probably up getting ready for work, the Eagles made a trade. They're third in the last couple of days, getting Jaelan Phillips for a third-rounder from the Miami Dolphins. They also, as we know, traded for Jair Alexander on Saturday. They traded for Michael Carter II late last week. The Niners traded for Keion White. Steelers traded for Kyle Duggar. That's 5 recent trades. There's going to be five more trades that probably happen by the end of the day. So where do the Ravens sit? Right now, they have 12 draft picks. Lots of capital to use for trades. 4 of those in the 5th round. The cap space they got from trading away Jair Alexander, $2.0 million. That puts them at $16 million worth of cap space right now, which is in a perfect position. You got the picks to trade, you got the holes in the roster, and you got the money to pay people. So, we'll see what happens. Coming up on today's show, I got some trade intel to get into for you guys. But before that, make sure you subscribe because it's free. We're sitting at 4,250 subs. Halfway, 4,500 subs, 250 subs away. What you get in return, free daily shows. So hit that subscribe button because anything that happens during the trade deadline, we're going to get you a video as quickly as possible. Join the over 40,000 people that have already joined us here at the Ravens Rundown. So the first trade intel today is coming from Ian Rapoport of the NFL Network. Published an article late yesterday, pretty much giving the rundown on everything he knows and everything he's heard over the last couple of days. He said the Ravens are looking at front 7 additions, which is what we thought, but this is what I needed to hear because we can say all we want till we're blue in the face, this is what we think the Ravens should do. But until we know that they are looking into those options, I'm never going to feel that great about them actually doing it. Well, Ian Rapoport gives us a little bit of that peace of mind to know that, hey, the Ravens are looking in at the front 7. I wouldn't mind other ads. Wouldn't mind an addition in the cornerback room. Definitely would not mind an addition in the interior of that offensive line. But the front 7, and specifically the defensive line, in my opinion, those are your priority number 1. The edge rushers. We've talked about him a lot. Kyle Van Noy. He's good. He's only getting older by the day. Mike Green's a rookie. Showed some promise over the last couple of games, but still, at the end of the day, he's played 8 games in this league. David Ojabo is not good. Carl Lawson, we really even haven't seen him play yet. For the interior, Travis Jones, stud. Brent Urban, good. Anais Peebles, rookie. John Jenkins, fine. CJ Okoye, fine. Travis Jones is the only guy on that list of 5 guys that I have 100% confidence in being a run stopper and being a pass rush threat. That's it. Okay? So now that we know that they're talking about front 7, now that we've talked about the defensive line, let's talk about some trade targets. Who can they go after? Who can they add? The first name we're going to talk about is a familiar face you've seen on this show. Let's talk about Bradley Chubb. Okay? The outside linebacker, edge rusher for the Miami Dolphins. We got a little bit of intel from Ian Rapoport that has looked to be very, very correct. He said Miami has received interest from the Eagles, 49ers, Patriots, and others on outside linebacker Jaelan Phillips. Well, Jaelan Phillips got dealt this morning to the Eagles. Check right there for Ian Rapoport. But he continues by saying they're also getting calls on defensive end Bradley Chubb and outside linebacker Matthew Judon. I think Bradley Chubb would be an unbelievable addition to this defensive line in this edge rusher room. I think he has so much upside. I think he's incredibly athletic. He's incredibly talented. You've seen the production there as well. He's not just 100% upside, but there's just so many things to like about the guy. And there's so many things not to really like about the current edge rusher room that you have. Bradley Chubb will be an awesome, awesome addition. Jermaine Johnson is another guy we got to talk about. Outside linebacker, edge rusher for the New York Football Giants. And reportedly, when it comes to Jermaine Johnson, this comes from Ian Rapoport, the New York Jets are asking for a second rounder, which seems a little bit rich in my opinion. Because I feel like you could get Bradley Chubb for a 4th or a 5th. And if that's the case, I'm not giving the Jets a 2nd rounder for Jermaine Johnson. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. But if they lower that down to a 3rd or a 4th, heck, I don't even know if I would do it for a 3rd. He's an interesting prospect, but I think Bradley Chubb has just shown more in his time in the National Football League. Another guy who's shown a lot in his time in the NFL is Kayvon Thibodeaux, former top 5 overall pick. And the Giants are treating him just like that. Even though they've got a loaded edge rusher room, they are reportedly asking for a 1st-round selection for Kayvon Thibodeaux. And I'm not necessarily interested in giving up a 1st-round selection for Kayvon Thibodeaux. I mean, I would give up a 1st-rounder for a guy who is a double-digit sack guy every single season. Kayvon Thibodeaux has that capability. He just has never put it all together and never been consistent in that sack production. Quinnen Williams is the final guy we're going to talk about on today's show. Defensive tackle for the New York Jets, who we know, like we talked about, are going to be sellers over the next 30 hours. And per Ian Rapoport, teams are continuing to monitor defensive tackle Quinnen Williams despite a high price tag. That is a guy I'd be willing to trade a 1st-round pick for, okay? Quinnen Williams, I'd give you a 1st-rounder right now in New York for him. I'd prefer if it was a 2nd, but that might be an unrealistic world we live in. If it was a 1st, sure, I'd do it. I definitely would have the discussion about it. Name a player you think the Ravens should trade for. Name a player you want the Ravens to trade for. Down below in the comments section, I've given you 4 names. I'm about to give you some other names in another position group, but weigh in for me right now. Prize Picks is the sponsor of today's video, and they're the reason you're getting to watch today's content for 100% free. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Lamar Jackson pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. Here's my Prize Picks for Monday Night Football. Dak Prescott more than 268.5 passing yards. Give George Pickens less than 64.5 receiving yards. And give them more on Trey McBride, half a touchdown. I feel like they're going to score a ton of points tonight. Both teams. I think Dak's going to have a really, really big night. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. A link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. The second trade intel we get is from Diana Rossini of The Athletic, a girl that we've talked a lot about her intel that she's given over the past couple of weeks. She goes a little bit of a different position group. She says the Colts need corners and have been calling. The Ravens and Packers are also looking for corners. And I wouldn't mind this either. Like I said at the beginning of today's show, I feel like defensive line is the number one priority. I would put cornerback maybe tied with second, probably right behind interior offensive line if they're going to drop down to third. But if they trade for a cornerback, I'm not going to be upset about it. Here's 3 names you need to monitor, okay? Alontae Taylor, cornerback with the New Orleans Saints. Alontae has had kind of an up-and-down season. He's struggled in coverage from time to time. He's put up decent numbers through 9 games, 36 tackles, tackles-wise. Really, really impressive. He's trending to get above 70 this year. 3 tackles for loss, 4 pass breakups, no picks yet. The thing with Alontae Taylor, though, that gives me a little bit of pause if people say don't trade for him. He hasn't been good enough in coverage. Guys, he's playing for the New Orleans Saints. I think we need to remember that. They have a horrible defense. And although the Baltimore Ravens defense started off horribly, they've brought things back together over the past couple of games, and you feel like this is not a bad unit as the New Orleans Saints have. So you get him with a different team, I think you can start seeing some of that upside. A guy we've already seen upside with is Riq Woolen, cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks, who is absolutely rolling right now as they're coming off of destroying the Washington Commanders on Sunday Night Football. 6 games he's played so far this season. He's logged 19 tackles, 3 pass breakups, but he's just a year away from getting 14 PBUs and 3 interceptions. Riq Woolen is one of those guys who I don't know if he's worth the price tag. Not what you'd have to give up to trade him, but for what you would have to then pay him once he's here, given his contract. Okay? I would be interested in Riq Woolen. I actually think he'd fit in really, really well. But I would love to see a little bit of that money taken from Seattle if you're going to take him off of their hands. Taylor-Britt, the last guy we're going to talk about, cornerback with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I get it. Intra-division trades are not very, very popular, but we've already seen the Bengals pull off an intra-division trade this year, trading for Joe Flacco from the Cleveland Browns. Through 6 games so far in 2025, 15 tackles, 4 pass breakups, 0 interceptions so far. This guy I feel like is a little bit of a boom or bust. There's days he has where he's phenomenal, where he's great. And then there's times where there's a little bit of a head scratching in coverage. So of these 3 guys, I feel like they're probably the most realistic options. I think I would like them in order that we gave them to you. Alontae Taylor, Riq Woolen, Cam Taylor. That's kind of my assumption. What should the Ravens add? Defensive line, cornerback, or other, okay? Let me know down below by giving me a DL, a CB, or a big O in the comments section. Appreciate you guys for tuning in with us. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. If we make a trade, it's going to be on Twitter first before I get you out a full video because it takes 5 seconds to send a tweet. It takes a little bit longer to get the graphics going, get a video film. So make sure you got me on social media and make sure you subscribe with those notifications on. It's trade deadline time, okay? That means anytime we make a move, we're going to get you covered as quickly as we can right here on the Ravens Rundown.